the mind has a mind of its own, in sort of in a way that you're not at the mercy of your brain, and basically, if you are your brain, then if you take out a lot of neurons, you expect that to have a dramatic effect on your mind. If you are your brain, then your mind ultimately has to be explained in terms of physics.
Yes.
And if your mind is consistent of brain cells, and if you take a lot of them out, then you expect the mind not to be there. You may be a different person, or if you split the brain, you may be many minds or two minds.
Okay, but what happens if you split the brain? Well, can you do that?
Yes, you can. You can, because people have had intractable epilepsy.
Intractable,
which means
epilepsy.
That you can't. It just continues and it spreads across the whole cortex and basically continue all the time. So it makes it almost impossible to live with it. So you just have these big seizures, and so to stop it going for the other hemisphere, they will sever it by cutting the connection. These 200 milliofibers that interconnect the hemispheres are cut, so severing the connection. And
what does that achieve?
Well, it doesn't achieve that much. You can basically, the person is still, say they're, going back to Michael Egno's book, he done surgery on that, and basically the person was still the same inner thoughts as before.
Wow.
Same, nothing really changed. The only thing is they do some tricky visual experience where they line things up to the visual field so that they exclude one hemisphere.
Yes.
And then a person may not, if one hemisphere, if it's only displayed to one hemisphere, the person can name the object. If it's the other, the person can reach out to the object, but they can't name it. But you can overcome that by just moving your head. But it's still the same person, same mind.
Can you live without one hemisphere?
Yeah, a lot. Yeah, a lot. I won't say a lot, but people do, particularly if they're young. Okay. They've had, as children or really young, they've had people had their entire hemisphere removed, and I mean it's a pretty traumatic thing, of course. But they're still the same person, and the brain starts to adapt. Now,
so they're not brain damaged or anything?
Well, they are brain. There is some damage because obviously some of the connections may be re-established, but it depends on what you take out because you lose information in the sense that say you lose part of your visual cortex, then you don't get the feed in. But you're still the same person. But if you can't, it's like if I close my eyes, I can't see what's happening, but I'm still the same person.
Okay.
And they've been interesting. They've done experiments where, because I thought people in coma can't communicate, but again, it's been documented in some cases, people in deep coma, because you're basically cut off. You can't move, you can't use your senses, and because of severe brain damage, but. They've been asked to think, plan something as an answer to a yes and no question.
Okay.
And so they've been repeatedly answered this, and then you do it to control subject, and they can thinking the same thing, the same areas light up for yes and no. So in some patients, you've actually, in deep coma, are actually there. They have their mind, they can actually think, but that it's like you're trapped in some void, But
how do they know that that person
they don't have
coma?
the information. They can't interact with the world.
Yeah.
But it was just someone actually testing it out using the latest functional MRI technology. You can get probing some brain regions. So not in all, but in some people have done that. And also you have, I think, a notable person is. Emilia Clarke from the Game of Thrones. Now, for the record, I've never watched it. I've just seen commercials of it. But apparently she, after she started the series and before it ended, she had brain surgery where a large part of her brain was removed. And apparently she didn't interfere with any part of her life.
She kept filming.
Well, I don't know.
The next seasons.
I guess she would have taken some time to recover, but there's a before and after. She's the same person. So she didn't lose part of her mind. And so people who have that sort of thing, they may have some neurological problems.
Yep.
They may improve, but they're still the same mind. And I guess sometimes it's how do you define a mind, you know, and that's the thing. I guess the final, which is the final nail in the coffin to the materialist view is the near-death experiences of out-of-body experiences, which kind of where you have people who are essentially are dead, clinically dead, can observe what's going on in the operating theatre, describe it, and be verified by the people in there, and they were not able, and it was something that they wouldn't be able to see, and because of their conditions. Like, let me give me an example.
Yes, please.
Again, if you read Michael Egner's book Immortal Mind, he gives an example of a lady called Pam Reynolds, who's now dead, but she had a brain aneurysm, which is a swelling in the brain, which fills up, or the blood vessel fills up with fluid blood. The problem is it can burst, and
that's life-threatening.
Yeah, if it bursts, it'll likely kill or get severe brain damage. So, but you can't really go in there and operate on her like that. The blood vessel, main blood vessels, because that would kind of cause the thing you're trying to prevent. Right. So the only way basically to heal her is to kill her, and to be pretty crudely. So what they did was, first they have to stop the heart, so the person's heart stopped beating, and then they have to make sure the person's brain dead. So there's no activity in the brain, so they'll send them signals like these big audio beeps to look for evoked potential, measure there's no EEG, electrical activity, and then they have to make sure there's no blood in the brain, so I guess they have to make sure the blood drains out of the brain, so then they can go in and basically fix this thing, and they were able to fix it. But what happened afterwards, so they were able to fix that, and then she was able to tell them what was going on in the operating theatre. They were talking about how small the blood vessels were, how she thought it was inappropriate to play Hotel California in the background, and other things. You know, the sound of a drill sawing into her. You know,
an awareness you probably wouldn't want.
No, and things like that. And now these people also have other experience, but I'm just giving you the operating thing. Okay. But what it shows is whatever you think about these things, and then that is verified by the people in there. So this was, and this Egner wouldn't have put it out there if he's done 7,000 neurosurgeries if he didn't trust information. But there's a lot of other accounts by secular scientists who actually document a lot of cases. But what it shows is it appears at the point of death, the mind is sort of released from the body, the physical body. The mind doesn't decay as the materialists say.
No, it seems like it's still
the body
going.
And brain does, but the mind does. It's freed. And of course they'll fight tooth and nail this, because you can't have a non-materialist immortal mind surviving the body, evolving. That would have to be...
Doesn't quite work with the theory, does it? It goes in the wrong direction.
That works with that it's God-given, a spiritual soul.
What do you mean by
mind.
that? Okay.
Well, the Bible, God's word, indicates that when a man or woman dies or whatever, that your body does decay, but you have a God-given soul and spirit that lives on, and it's really the kind of not the first death, the body, but the second death that we should worry about. He who controls both body and soul. But the Bible makes it plain that we are not just flesh. We're not a meat robot. We have a eternal, immortal souls. Whether you call it soul or spirit soul or mind, or secularists may call it ghost in the machine. So we have something that lasts for eternity. You're not going to disappear when you die.